The newspaper article I chose is German Army in Rhineland. Hitler smashes packs of Locarno Versailles from Daily Boston Globe, published on the 8th of March 1936. It discusses German violation of the Versailles Treaty by attempting to remilitarize Rhineland. And interestingly, in this news article, the act was not really framed as a threat to peace and international order. The article describes Hitler claiming that the world should not consider this act militant, and it was a reaction of concern over the possibility of communists coming to power in France. The article also explains German intentions of rejoining the League of Nations and a 25-year non-aggression pact with neighboring states, which made the act of remilitarization seem quite reasonable and benign. As this article was from a US newspaper which would not be directly threatened even if Germany rises, the greater lack of concern over Germany's revisionist actions is also understandable. As Goddard had highlighted in the book When Right Makes Might, legitimation strategies are very important for a rising power, as they shape how a great power interprets its actions and thus decide on whether to confront or accommodate. Up until the outbreak of World War II, there had been constant debates over whether Germany's ambitions should be appeased to preserve peace, and to what extent should World War I victor states continue to accommodate and allow Germany to expand. Ultimately, great powers chose to go down a path of appeasement until Germany revealed its true ambitions and went to war. This is indeed an example of successful legitimation technique used. The rising revisionist Germany was able to legitimize its actions of expansion to the status quo powers, convincing them that German ambitions were limited, and ultimately Germany would be willing to conserve and support the existing international order when in reality it sought revolutionary change to the system and intended to rise to become the new hegemon. Using rhetoric, Germany was able to cover up its ambitions for further expansion and persuaded European states that it had only intended for a Klein Deutsch with a collective German identity. While some of course suspected the extent of truth in Hitler's claims, European states like Britain had high anti-war sentiments and were still recovering from World War I. So ultimately, the states came to the conclusion that the cost of confrontation would be too high compared to accommodating and appeasing, which gave Nazi Germany the opportunity to first expand and remilitarize through assertive diplomacy, avoiding war and accumulating strength to finally wage real war. This issue can also be viewed from Johnson's perspective that there is no single international order, but multiple issue-specific orders. In this sense, although Germany's action in remilitarizing challenges the military aspect of the international order and makes it a revisionist power, it cleverly uses balancing acts like voicing the intention to rejoin the League of Nations to signal that it would like to uphold the institutional part of the international order. Like China today in Johnson's article, which as a rising power it accepts some aspects of the existing international order and rejects others, Nazi Germany also follows a similar pattern. While Germany ultimately had active revisionist goals, in this phase of its strategy it chose to hide its ambitions and use diplomacy to legitimate itself as a largely accommodational rising power with minor revisionist goals that would not challenge the bigger international system.